Hey everyone, I've made it! Remember, I was on a plane heading here, and now I'm finally at one of my favorite places, the Museum of Everyday Objects. I can't wait to keep exploring and learning more about all the amazing inventions we've been reading about. All right, over the last few Book Nook videos, we got a handle on how authors organize their texts. Today, we're going to dig even deeper to figure out why they write the way they do, or the main purpose of a text. Think about the last thing you read. Maybe it was a book, or maybe an article, or even a comic. Why do you think the author wrote it? Was it just a really good story, or was the author maybe trying to teach you or convince you of something? Authors write for a bunch of different reasons, but most of the time, we can sort them into three main categories: to persuade, to inform, or to entertain. Let's go inside and see how authors use these different purposes. Okay, so this exhibit has 3 rooms, each filled with texts that have a similar purpose. Based on what you see, can you guess which room this is? This first room is all about persuasion. The books and other texts in here are written to try and convince you to think a certain way or take action. You might see an ad trying to get you to buy the latest shoes, or a poster encouraging people to vote. Let's see if we can spot some persuasion in this passage I found. As I read, listen closely and see if you can figure out what the author is trying to get us to do or care about. The printing press, one of the most important inventions in human history, transformed access to books and the way knowledge was shared. The problem is, many of these historic printing presses are now neglected and even falling apart. If we don't take action to preserve these pieces of history, future generations will lose the chance to see the tools that helped shape the modern world. One solution is to restore and maintain these presses for museums like this one, reminding us of their role in our history. All right, what do you think? What's the author trying to get us to care about here? They're convincing us to care about preserving these old printing presses, right? By describing the problem and then offering a solution, they want us to think, hey, maybe we should do something about this. Using reading skills, like finding the main idea and identifying text structure, helps us figure out the author's purpose, what they want us to think, feel, or even do. Cool, right? Let's keep this in mind as we explore the next room. Ooh, what do you think this room might be about? Take a look at the kinds of books and other texts in this space. We've got picture books, comic books, personal memoirs, exciting adventure novels. There's definitely something different happening here. Pause here and circle the kind of texts you think are in this room. Let's take a look at this text. While I read, pay attention to the main idea and text structure. The big idea the author wants us to know and how they organize all those details. Remember, these 2 things can help us recognize the author's purpose. The low flame of candlelight flickered over Gutenberg's workbench as he carefully adjusted the metal letters. His invention, the printing press, would be unlike anything the world had ever seen. The smell of ink filled the room as he placed the letters in their frames, each one set perfectly in place. With a slow, steady turn of the crank, the heavy wooden press came down, imprinting the letters onto the paper with a soft thud. Gutenberg held his breath as he lifted the press and peeled the paper away, revealing the sharp, clean print of a full page of text. His invention worked! No more writing books by hand for hours by dim candlelight. Whoa, I could almost see the workshop. Could you? Let's pause here. Underline or highlight the main idea and write the text structure the author used. The main idea is that Gutenberg's using his printing press for the first time, and it's working. The text structure is descriptive. The author used tons of details to help us feel like we were right there in the workshop. So what do you think the author's purpose was? Do they want to teach us something, convince us of something, or tell us a great story about Gutenberg? Jot down which one you think fits best. It seems like this was written mostly to entertain, right? I mean, sure, we learn a little, but the real goal is to hold our attention as we are drawn into an enjoyable story. All right, let's keep going and see what's next. We've made it to the last room. What do you notice? I see newspapers, articles, textbooks, encyclopedias. Why do you think these texts are grouped together? What might their purpose be? I just found this little newspaper cutting. Let's read it together and see if we can figure this out. The invention of the printing press by Johannes Gutenberg in the 15th century had a huge impact on the world. Before the printing press, books were copied by hand and were expensive and rare. With Gutenberg's press, books could be made much more quickly and cheaply. This allowed knowledge to spread across Europe and beyond. The printing press helped spark a period of interest in art, science, and big ideas, like the meaning of life. It forever changed communication, education, and how people shared information. So this is the printing press we've been reading about today. Another invention that changed the world. Okay, you know the drill. Underline the main idea and write down the text structure they used to organize their details. Based on what you notice, what do you think the author's purpose is? The main idea here is that Gutenberg's invention of the printing press changed how books were made and spread knowledge around the world. And the text structure is cause and effect. The printing press was invented, and because of that, books became more accessible, leading to the spread of new ideas. Now that we know the main idea and text structure, what do you think the author's purpose is here? Are they trying to persuade us, entertain us, or inform us? It's to inform, to teach us using facts and details. In this case, about an important invention. There you have it. We've done some awesome work together to figure out author's purpose using some reading skills we're already familiar with. We can ask ourselves, what's the main idea? Which text structure did they use to organize their thoughts? And what do they want us to think, feel, or even do? Think back to the 3 types of author's purpose: persuade, inform, and entertain. Which type do you think you like reading the most? Why? Pause and write down your thoughts before we wrap up this visit. Hey, great work today! As readers, we learn to identify an author's purpose by thinking about the main idea and text structure. See how all these reading skills work together? And from reading, we also learned more about another amazing invention, the printing press. Could this be the most influential invention? Well, I guess we'll decide soon. Keep reading and keep working on your goals. And I'll see you back here at the Museum of Everyday Objects soon. Hey, hey.